Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a horror movie from 2001. That movie is Jeepers Creepers, which is part of this 2-pack, which means, yes, I'm going to have to watch the sequel, too, at some point. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. I shouldn't even be talking about the sequel. Let's touch on the first, Jeepers Creepers. I know that it's a horror movie. And quite literally, that is where all my knowledge ends. I happen to remember seeing ads for it on TV back in 2001. I couldn't tell you a single detail from those ads because I don't remember any of the details. I do happen to remember the ads on TV looked kind of dull, which I think is why it's taken me this long to watch it. That would probably also explain why I have no actual memories of anything from the ads, because I basically looked at it and said, well, this looks, kind of shit, and kind of sort of closed it out of my mind. Well, now I get to see exactly what kind of a horror movie it is. I get to see if this thing is any good. I get to see if there was actually a reason to warrant a sequel. The only way I'm going to find out any of this, though, is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Jeepers Creepers. My God, are we seriously going to have to put up with these two worthless piles of shit for the next 90 minutes? My God, this is really going to suck. I do not like either of our lead characters right now because both of them are about as fucking unpleasant and annoying as possible. This is gonna possibly suck, guys. Alright, guys, I find it sort of cool that this movie's trying to paint their Psycho as genuinely nuts because he lines his dungeon with essentially unclothed mannequins. Do you want to know what would have been even creepier? If he would have lined his dungeon walls with actual corpses. And perhaps maybe the movie was trying to imply that these things are corpses. But the very fact that they're very clearly mannequins, it kind of sort of kills a whole lot of the tension, you know what I mean? Guys, I genuinely wish that this movie was a little bit more interesting, but unfortunately it isn't. This movie's getting a little bit boring and incredibly stupid. Well, guys, good news is the monster's dead, whatever the fuck it was. It looked awesome, but now I would technically count that as dead. Why the fuck is there still a half an hour left? So let me see if I understand this. Our fucking psychic, who gets all these visions in her dreams, misses vital shit because, visions in dreams are not like watching movies. There is vital stuff missing. That, honestly, guys, is like the dumbest goddamned way a writer has ever tried to build tension. And you know what? It failed fucking miserably. Well, that was good and fucking stupid. Well, guys, that was Jeepers Creepers. Let me shut that trash off. Holy fuck. That was quite possibly one of the stupidest payoffs I have ever seen. Alright. God damn, where to fucking start? There's so much I can talk about. Well, I guess I should start with the fact that I'm probably going into this a little bit biased because I didn't know this until I started watching it. The movie stars an actor I personally cannot stand. That actor is Justin Long. I do not like Justin fucking Long. He seriously cannot act, and every time that he tries to do comedy, he fails miserably. Which is funny because the opening 10, maybe 15 minutes of this movie is him and his character sister, snarking at each other, and all of it is basically about as funny as listening to a couple of 6-year-olds fucking argue. It really wasn't interesting or funny, and it painted both of them as just being incredibly irritating. Now, they would probably have still been irritating no matter who they cast as the brother, but the very fact that I had to put up with Justin fucking Long's bullshit for 90 minutes may have tainted this a little bit. However, I do have to stress, I really don't think that it would have mattered who in the hell was cast, but the fact that you cast a talent challenge chump like Justin fucking Long, it just didn't help your case any, just going right in. But let's talk about the rest of the movie. I just sort of wanted to preface that because I just want people to know that there may be a slight bias here. So, oh god, writing. God, the writing in this thing was terrible. First of all, I would like to say that there is kind of like a given rule when it comes to your movie monsters. You want them to stay threatening or cool or what have you for the entire film. This movie opted not to do that, and our fucking monster here, this fucking demon, he becomes less and less cool and threatening every time we see him. Now, this has partially to do with like costuming and makeup, but it also is because they wrote him like this. Where the first time you see him, he basically is just a tall guy in a duster and a cowboy hat, and he looks genuinely creepy. And then when you finally see his face later on, you see that it is a demon face. Okay, that looks even cooler. And then they fucking run him over with their fucking car, and then we see that, and then we see these like demon fucking wings sprout up. Okay, that is even cooler. And then he basically shambles into a fucking police station, and then he drops the like duster and the cowboy hat, and now he's just some guy in an ugly, loose fucking fitting rubber suit. Okay, it's nowhere near as cool as the Undertaker demon, but hey, let's not fucking split hairs here. And then when he finally catches the victim he has been sniffing for this whole film, I will cover that in just a sec. Like these friggin' spikes on his face like open up, and now he has this big red like bonnet on him, and it looks even less cool. And then the fucking demon wings come back, and it's terribly done in CG, and then he flies off. Excuse me. And all of that took an awesome looking creature who could have very well been kind of threatening and turned him into a fucking joke within the final half hour. And, but again, most of that has to do with special effects and costuming, but it probably wouldn't have been that way if he wasn't written like that. Now, let's go back into the story. I want to touch on characters. As I stated earlier, we are following two characters who are a brother and a sister who are the most irritating and childish motherfuckers I think I've ever seen on film. Or I should say, the most childish characters I've seen on film who weren't actually children. And all of this is supposed to be like cute and quirky and kind of funny, and it's supposed to show like a sibling, like a sibling like love and like a sibling sort of thing. But ultimately it just comes off as incredibly irritating. And I'd like to mention that they are technically the high point of this film in terms of characters, because nobody else has any real depth, except for because the only characters with any level of depth are those two. Our demon, a crazy cat lady who is played by Eileen Brennan. I should mention she's probably the only one who turned in a halfway decent showing in this film. Except her whole gimmick is she has tons and tons of cats, and she's sick and tired of the county telling her she can't have so many cats. She is in the film for maybe all of 2 minutes, and then that's it. And then we have this like crazy like psychic woman. Well, at least I thought that she was psychic, and then she mentioned that what it actually is that she has visions in her dreams, except the visions are muddled and odd and mixed up, and they're often wrong. And they're missing mountains and mountains of detail. And so she basically is able to she is able to call them at a diner. She is able to call the brother and sister at a diner and is able to essentially tell the viewer everything which is going to happen from this point on in the film in a stupid, cryptic fashion. And when they finally meet her and when they're trying to run from the demon and they're locked in this building, they basically then ask her why in the hell her vision didn't have that. And then we get the cheesy ass answer of, well, like a vision is not like a movie. There are always details missing. Which basically is lazy fucking writer shorthand for fuck you, that's why. And my god. Now beyond those characters, every other character here I don't even think has a fucking name. They have no name and they have no personality, and that's because they are all either townsfolk or cops. And none of them really serve any purpose except to show that there's life out in the country somewhere. And as for our story, this fucking demon hunts apparently by smell, and he finds, hunts, and kills people who he thinks smells really good. And it's theorized that it is either the brother or the sister who he's hunting for because he really digs their smell. And they are trying to make this they're trying to make this a big shocker. However, if you do not figure out exactly which fucking one he is hunting for within the first hour, then you aren't paying attention to the fucking movie. Because the movie does everything shy of all out just screaming, "It's this one!" Pardon me. And that really just sort of kills all of the tension. Oh, and the creature also like gets off on fear. So when I happen to say that between our brother and our sister, one of them is a whinging, craving coward, and the other one actually has a spine. That should kind of tell you exactly which fucking one the demon is going for. However, once more, they are trying to play it up as this big, stunner at the very end. No, it's really not a shocking thing at all. And the story just kind of like limps on with these shallow bullshit fucking characters in this story that would probably have worked awesome as a short film, but doesn't work when you try to pad it out to 90 motherfucking minutes. So yeah, guys, writing here was terrible. Acting, I have basically mentioned it all fucking ready. The only member of the cast who turned in any showing I thought was halfway decent was Eileen fucking Brennan, and she's in the movie for all of 2 minutes. All right, that is it. She's in the movie for all of 2 minutes, and then we never see her again. And it's really kind of sad because I would rather have seen a movie about her having to deal with her fucking problem with the county and how many cats she has. I really think that would have made for a far more entertaining movie than the pile of shit we were served. Pardon me. Now, as for the rest of the cast, nobody else here fucking tried. Now, again, I do have to say, I'm not a fan of Justin fucking Long, and I thought that his acting here, while fucking granted was fucking better than most of the other shit he has turned in, still sucked. Alright, and he still sort of ranks at the bottom amongst the, rest of the cast, because at least the rest of the cast put in at least like some like minimal amount of effort. It wasn't much, but goddammit, it was something. But nobody here turned in anything that was actually generally good. The acting here was kind of poor throughout. Special effects. I've been meaning to talk about the special effects here. I know that I've already touched on the fact that the rubber fucking suit was loose-fitting and shit, and that the CG was crap, but there's something else I really have to touch on, and I mentioned it way early in the film, and that is the fact that our demon is supposed to have, like, bodies hanging on the walls of his little fucking dungeon at the start of the film. But we can clearly tell that they are dummies. And I'm going to explain why I know that they are all dummies. First of all, the flashlight very clearly shines over the crotch of one of them, and there's nothing there. All right, and if they wanted this to look fucking realistic, the least honestly they could have done is thrown on there like some kind of fucking like some sort of genitalia to show us that this thing is actually supposed to be a corpse and not a fucking mannequin. But it gets worse because then we have close-ups of some of these dummies, and you can see mold lines. You know, actually though, like where the fucking like mold ends met, you actually can see the seam. It usually is like right along like the side of the heads. And the mouth wells are so fucking shallow you actually can see the back. And I genuinely thought that these things were supposed to be dummies. And then we're told later that they actually were people. And that the reason why they weren't skeletons or dust after 20 or 30 years is because they had been petrified somehow. There's a big difference, guys, between petrified and made of fucking plastic, okay? And I really wish that the writer here would have known that before he penned this god-awful thing. But I believe I know why all of this is such a huge problem. You see, I really don't think that you would have noticed the mold seams. I don't think you would have noticed the shallow fucking mouth fucking wells or anything else on VHS or on DVD because those are in standard definition. And this thing was cleaned up to perfect 1080p resolution. So every single detail pops out. And this is one of the few instances, guys, where being in high def actually hurts the movie. Pardon me. Now, and that also would probably, and that would probably explain why you can clearly tell that all of them are dummies as the flashlight is shining over them, because the film was probably also brightened. So you know what? Almost all those problems are probably not even noticeable on VHS or DVD copies of it. But guess what? They stand out like a sore fucking thumb on Blu-ray, and they sold this thing. It really is, guys, like the only time I have ever seen a movie hurt by being shown in HD, because now a whole lot of the cheaper, like things pop out much more, and it really does impact a scene that could have probably been a hell of a lot better. Probably also if it was shot better, but also if it wasn't in HD. Pardon me. Now, is there anything else to really talk about? Special effects were kind of shit, all fucking told. The soundtrack. Well, the reason why it's called Jeepers Creepers, and this is so forced in there, it is not even funny, is because part of the psychic chick's vision was the song Jeepers fucking Creepers, which is a very awesome piece of classic music. It's basically like classic, like pop. It's awesome. The problem is, the song is also an incredibly happy, peppy, and upbeat-sounding song. And you're trying to build a horror movie around that. You are trying to build a horror movie around a friggin' upbeat, happy song. Guys, that honestly would be like trying to take a song like, I don't know, like say like Barbie Girl, and trying to turn that thing into a fucking horror movie based solely on the fucking song. And the song is supposed to be creepy and tension, and no. That is a dumb motherfucking move, alright? The difference here, though, is just that, like, Barbie Girl is a piece of shit song, and Jeepers Creepers is actually pretty good. But, at least the song, Jeepers Creepers. This movie is crap. Now, it would have been better if they would have had, like, a more reasonable way of working in the title, instead of just having her say, it is just the song, like, listen to this, and it is going to be the last thing you hear as you scream the last scream you will ever scream. By the way, that actually is a line of dialogue in the fucking movie. When you scream the last scream you will ever scream is actual written dialogue, and some dopey asshole was paid money to fucking write it. Wait, was it? I'm just checking, was it? Yes, it was one fucking writer, and it was also the frickin' director. He wrote that and got paid for it. That is good Lord. Anyway, so our film's title is here simply because it's a song title that was so forced into the movie, it's not even funny. Ultimately, guys, am I able to recommend Jeepers Creepers? No. There is no earthly way. But it was so fucking terrible, I'm almost curious how in the hell you fucking sequelize it. So yeah, I am going to be watching the sequel also. I have no clue if the sequel is going to be any fucking good. I certainly hope so. But this first one was shit, and there's no way I could possibly recommend it to anybody. Now, Jeepers Creepers and its sequel both came off the Amazon wishlist. The person who sent it in was a YouTuber by the name of Humboldt Gaming. You can find his YouTube channel over at youtube.com/user/Humboldt Gaming. And dude, thank you. I have really been curious about this movie for years. I've just never had the chance to watch it. And also, I was sort of curious because I could not remember anything from any of the fucking TV ads. And honestly, the movie kind of sucked, but I would not have known if you hadn't sent it in, and dude, for that, I thank you. Once more, that's youtube.com/user/Humboldt Gaming. Hang on. God damn, this cold. Anyway, yeah, guys, though, this fucking movie was shit, and, my god, okay, honestly, now when I first saw The Demon's Head, I was kind of sort of reminded of a far better horror movie, and that movie is Wishmaster. I'm going to go and watch that and try to wash the taste of this crap out of my mouth. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.